So there is an ethics in higher consciousness that's not being utilized in the present. And a lot of accountability in the higher realms is done by self accountability. So when we do these taps, we're starting to infuse self accountability into mainstream.
Absolutely.
Really?
So here's the thing. At one level, you cannot rely on institutions and systems to enforce accountability on people. The justice system tries to do that, and it's an important thing that the justice system exists. But even better, in higher consciousness, and one of the imperatives for higher consciousness is a degree of self-regulated accountability. That's where the rubber hits the road. And so then court systems, justice systems, laws and mandates, social norms and mores become more of a binding mechanism rather than an enforcement mechanism.
Absolutely. So all through history, the powers that be have used fear to inflict accountability on people. Oh, you're going to hell. Oh, you're going to jail. But they've beaten a dead horse. They're using fear so much that they keep people in fear all the time. And what's happening is people are tired of it. They're just checking out. So the mandates of higher consciousness aren't fear-based, they're love-based. So instead of inflicting fear on the individual, it's how much to impact all of humanity with your love. And that's what we're moving towards. It's really powerful.
So, but that's actually an interesting thing that you mentioned about Judge Cannon. So clearly, she's not on the Supreme Court, not by any shot. So here we are talking about the role of individual lower courts and the power that they have in clogging up the judicial system and stopping people from being held to account that need to be held to account. And so it's not just the Supreme Court. It goes up and down the chain. Can I just interrupt here for 1 second, Jen?
Sure.
Just to say this, that we are recording this group tapping event on effectively the eve of the Supreme Court's decision or handing down of decision in relation to the most obscure notion that of presidential immunity against all acts of against all acts, and so the expectation is that the Supreme Court will render a judgment within the next 24 hours, and so it's appropriate that we're doing these taps on the portal of that judgment. Now we don't know what the judgment's going to be, but nevertheless, regardless of the judgment, the fact that we are doing this work in the longer run and in the broader scheme of things is fundamentally important for holding the foundation of democracy.
Absolutely. There's another thing we're waiting for in America is Eileen Cannon, to an experienced judge, to be held accountable for preventing Trump from going to
trial
before the elections. So hopefully, if Jack Smith can hold her accountable through her inept actions, the court case could still go into the system before the election, which would be really helpful.
I just want to pick up the mantle a little bit further on this conversation. So we're talking about preserving the Constitution, and that's one thing that's important. And we're specifically talking about the American Constitution, but there are constitutions in lots and lots of countries of various forms. But here's the thing. For those that have been paying attention, that subscribe to the work that we're doing here, will know that we are actually in the process of reimagining the Constitution for universal empowerment, which means that it is an upgrade to the current Constitution. But here's the thing, and we said it on the last group tapping event, but let me repeat it for those that are finding us for the first time. While there is a fundamental piece of work going on in the background to reimagine the Constitution and all of the systems, processes, and institutions that govern human interaction in higher consciousness, it's necessary to stabilize and support the current processes that we have against the likes of Trump, MAGA, the Magadonians, and others that are hell-bent on bringing down at least the current form of democracy. But the important thing here is that we need to reconstitute true democracy in higher consciousness. And so it's not that we are, chief advocates of the current constitution. It's important that we preserve what is in place for now, but then more importantly, Jamie Raskin and others really need to get on board to reimagine the new constitution for universal empowerment, and not just in America, by the way.
So I want to share this experience I keep going back to is before I met you, Marvin. Physically, before I just knew of you and start getting like my little radars, antennas up in an attraction to you. But inwardly, we would have these dynamic experiences where you were pouring love onto me because you saw how depleted I was in human love. So you were fixing that. But when I tuned into you, you were just, you were in higher consciousness. And what I saw that was, it was like a space, it was space around and just this globe. And he was in this room that was surrounded by space. And he was just had a table there. And laying over the table was all these blueprints. And he didn't even look at me when I was there. He sensed me, but he was so into his work. And I didn't know that was a foreshadow, and I should have realized. But it was just like he had his chin down, and it's just the whole time he's just looking over the blueprints, and it was like layers upon layers of them. What I didn't realize then is he has been working to bring the blueprints of higher consciousness into a form where everyone could partake of them. And that's what's happening. All the work I do, the healing work I do, pales compared to what is happening in what we're doing to put parameters around these intangible concepts that we all embrace inwardly as our integrity, our sincerity, our compassion, and our kindness. And all those things that have become these linear trajectories. We're all gathering up to be part of our mainstream, part of our connection to each other's, and the joy and freedom and being with you guys in love and being allowed to let down that guard a little bit and love you all is our sacred space. And what we're doing here, what Marvin's doing with this declaration of interdependence, is creating a sacred space for joy, love, abundance, freedom, health, and wholeness to be shared by everyone together. That's as close as I can get to wrapping your head around what's happening here in energy.
So just tying it back to the tapping event that we're doing today, this Declaration of Universal Interdependence is just a touchstone document that creates the permission slip, if you like, to allow us to do the broader work, which the bigger agenda here is to reimagine and effectively rewrite a constitution for universal empowerment. And so that's the bigger picture of things. But the other thing that I'd say is that, Jen, you know how you said that you always had the visual of me sort of sitting somehow in higher consciousness, poring over these blueprints in some kind of a lit up room. And, I was, oblivious to everything that's going around me because all I was doing was poring over these blueprints. And that was the purpose, the labor, the work. That's an interesting visualization, but the way I visualize it is that the crafting of this Declaration of Universal Interdependence, and then the Constitution for universal empowerment is really just setting the foundations for others to pick up and then do the real work of translating these higher order principles into the governance systems, the laws, the norms, the mores, I've got a lot to say on the way that economic structures should work in higher consciousness and the way that companies and corporations interact in higher consciousness, all of those kinds of things. But there are so many other things to be done. And Jamie Raskin, when you watch this, I'm not going to say if you watch this, I'm going to say when you watch this, pick up the mantle, because the work that you're doing to educate the masses on the existing constitution is really important. But I'll tell you what, mate, your real work in this lifetime is not to keep propping up the old constitution because it is a leaky boat. Your real purpose is to rewrite the new constitution for universal empowerment. And you're not alone. There are others that are here to do that work. So pay attention, Jamie Raskin. You heard it here first.
If you like this content and you appreciate the work that we're doing to uplift all of humanity and to help heal your body, mind, and soul, please consider becoming a Jenuine Healing premium content subscriber. Simply jump onto the Jenuine Healing website, jenuinehealing.com with a J, and click on the purchase button on the top menu. Scroll down, there's a premium content option. Click on that, sign up. It's a simple monthly plan for $20 a month, and you will have access to all of the premium content that we put up on the Jenuine Healing website. We look forward to catching you next time, and bye for now.